Joining me now to walk us through it is House Administration Chairman Congressman Brian Stile and Florida Congressman Corey Mills, a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Gentlemen, good to have you both with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And Congressman Corey Mills, I want to start with you because you said you would vote no to attaching the SAVE Act to the continuing resolution. Why?
Well, because it's the exact same song and dance, Maria, that we see all the time where we try to attach something that we know the Senate's going to strip out, and then we get a clean CR, which has happened 5 times now. That continues to kick the can of irresponsibility. Look, if we pass the SAVE Act, we're going to end up spending $6.3 billion a day, $3 billion in interest payments, $77,000 per second, driving up our debt, which is already over $36 trillion. And by the way, as I've mentioned previously, we're going to spend more in servicing the interest payments on our debt than we will our entire national defense annual spending. Plus, this CR will not allow new programs of record, which also hurts our military and our defense. And so the whole thing is that we've had 2 years. We've passed about 73% of appropriations so far. There's about 27% that's left. I'm not going to continue to do the same song and dance if the Senate is not going to take up the SAVE Act, which, by the way, passed July 10th of 2024, and they're not going to take up H.R. 2 to secure our borders. Then what are we doing? Because we told the American people we're going to secure the borders and we're going to get inflation under control. Adding more debt will cause more dollars to be printed, more inflation, and the middle class and lower class will get wiped out. So I'm going to take the responsibility, shut the government down or shut the border down and protect our elections.
Well, why are you afraid to shut down the government, Brian Stile?
I don't think anybody should be afraid of a shutdown. What we should do is pass the CR with the SAVE Act over to the Senate and put it in their lap. This Democratic-run Senate refuses to secure the border and bring up H.R. 2. They refuse to secure the U.S. election and bring up the SAVE Act. What we need to do is attach the SAVE Act to the CRs, the last train leaving the station, put it in the lap of the Senate, and force them not only to keep the government open until we can win in this election and come and get our spending in line with President Trump, but also have an opportunity to secure the U.S. election. Passing the CR with the SAVE Act, as the Speaker is trying to do, is our opportunity to win the election and secure the election.
But Mike Johnson, the Speaker, just pulled it. He didn't have the support. And one of the reasons is Corey Mills, who said he's not going to sign it. He's not going to vote for it. So what do you do?
Well, I think we have an opportunity when we come back next week to actually put it on the floor. I think we have an opportunity to pass the legislation that the Speaker has put forward and jam the United States Senate to both secure the election and keep the government open such that we win the election and have an opportunity to get our spending in line in Washington, D.C. People are frustrated with the Democratic-run Senate, and this is our opportunity in this election to actually get Republicans in the Senate that we can work with and get our country back on track.
Corey Mills, you're nodding your head. Chuck Schumer already said he's not going to bring the SAVE Act to the floor, period.
Well, that's exactly right. And if we cared so much about election integrity, as we continue to say, then why didn't we attach it to the previous 5 CRs that we passed? Why is it that if it works so well to jam the Senate by attaching a policy rider, why didn't we attach H.R. 1, the Low Cost Energy Act, to go ahead and help to get our GDP to national debt inverted and have an economic growth strategy? Why didn't we jam the Senate with a CR by attaching the REINS Act to stop overregulation of private sector businesses? Why didn't we attach H.R. 2 to one of the international policy funding bills that guarantees? So this idea that we're going to jam the Senate is the same song and dance that they've attempted 5 to 6 to 7 times. It never is the same. And as Thomas Massie said, we always get a CR in September, then they try to cram an omnibus in December. It's the same in the 117th, 116th, 115th. I didn't run for Congress to do the status quo, so I'm going to fight for the American people, and I'm not going to continue to drive our debt over the cliff.
Look, this is the last budget fight you're going to have before the election. Okay, you just said, Corey Mills, you are willing to shut the government down to make this point. Brian Stile, are you willing to shut down the government?
I think all Republicans are willing to bring it to that point to shut the government down if we had to. But here we have an opportunity to actually avoid that, to get the CR through so that we can get to the other side with Republicans in control, to get spending under control, and at the same time secure our election with the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act makes sure that it's only Americans who are voting in U.S. elections.
That's not true, because you just saw that Chuck Schumer will not bring it to the floor, no matter how much you say you're going to put it on his lap. So I'll ask you again, are you willing to take this to the mat and let the government shut down unless they put the SAVE Act attached to the CR?
I think in the entire House Republican Conference is ready to go to the mat. Is why we need to bring this bill to the House floor and pass it.
And you think it's going to come to the House floor this upcoming week?
Well, that's a decision ultimately for the Speaker, but I am reasonably confident that we are going to bring it to the floor and we'll have the votes.
So you're committed to make sure to attach the SAVE Act to the CR, and if not, shut down the government. Is that what you're saying, Brian Stile?
Yeah, I think the Speaker's play call to attach the SAVE Act to the CR and to jam it to the Senate and put it in the Senate's lap is the right play call. I think he'll ultimately have an opportunity to bring it to the floor. And I think at the end of the day, we'll pass it because the American people want to see us move forward on the SAVE Act to secure the election and force the Senate to act on it.
Corey
We've
Mills,
already passed the SAVE Act. We've already passed the SAVE Act July 10th. And actually, I would argue if we truly cared about election integrity, Brian Stile had a better bill, in my opinion, the ACE Act that was dropped July of 2023. That would have given us enough time to actually pass it and implement it. Now we want to act like we care about election integrity 120 days out and attach it to the last CR. What about the previous CRs? What about H.R. 2 we've argued for 19 months that we dumped on the Senate's lap? What about H.R. 1 that we didn't even transfer? H.R. 5, the parental rights bill. H.R. 21 that stops President Biden from selling our special petroleum reserves. The point is that it's not work, and I'm not going to continue to play the same game.
All right, Congressman, you've got a big week ahead. We're going to be following it. Brian Stile and Corey Mills, thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Quick break, and then critics call.